Morning, everybody. 8:11 a.m. August 13th. Markets, markets were crazy yesterday. The opening was wild. So we initially lifted off after CPI, and then came all the way back down in a crazy opening session. Like the first hour was a little wacky, and then the market kind of straightened out and basically told us they liked the CPI data, even though it was mixed. Core went up, right? So actually we're up now. I was showing it on my stream, the Fed Watch tool, that it didn't really change, but I guess it changes later on. It doesn't update like real time like that, but it's up to like 96%. So market liked it. That's what I was saying pre-market yesterday. I said, let's see what this market tells us about the with the price action. At the end of the day, we wound up making all-time highs in the QQQ and the SPY. Also made all-time highs in futures in both the Nasdaq and the ES. So yesterday, I didn't have a trade. Pretty difficult. Once the market started trending, there wasn't even really that much of a pullback. Didn't even hit VWAP again. So pretty much like a trend day. On my stream, I was saying it's going to break overnight highs and should go to the all-time highs, but there just wasn't a setup there. It was like it'd be a very poor long if I took one. So it just wasn't there. Market internals just kind of said everything was green and there was really nothing to short. So that was the day. Okay. Today, we already had the mortgage, 30-year mortgages. They came out. They went down from the previous number. Today, we have Fed Barkin already spoke, I probably believe, at 7:30. We have crude inventories at 10:30, and then more Fed speak at 1 p.m. Okay. And what else do I have to talk about? Yeah, I think that's about it. Um, we'll get into it. Let's just get right into the channel. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the market, loan supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge, the way I look at the markets. You also use Anchor VWAPs and my trusty market internals, all right, to tell me what's going on under the hood when the market opens. I'm also using Bookmap now, and that's really been awesome to see Bookmap, and really easy on the eyes. Really easy on the eyes. And of course, you can always get my expected move indicator. All right, gives you the expected range for the week. All right, for the week. So it projects out by Friday what the extreme high and lows of all stocks on my indicator. Okay. Now, if you want to come and see that, get that indicator for free, and you also want to join my Discord, my community, feel free. That's Confluence Trading. That's my Discord. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. If you sign up, go to the channel here in my Discord, go to Weekly Expected Move, and put it on your charts. All right, throw that on your charts, and also come join me. Come join me. I usually go live. All right, so that's that. And of course, hopefully you join me every day. Have a cup of coffee, water, tea. Let me give you the market story and let me give you what's going on in the markets. Well, market news, economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards. And of course, I give you a bunch of technical analysis and I leave you with trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. Okay. ES and the NASDAQ futures. All right. So why don't we get right into watch list here. Here we go. Let's see what's leading the markets. We got Ethereum up 3.75%. Silver's up 1.61. Bitcoin's up 0.74. Russell's up 0.68. 30-year bonds being bought up 0.46. Dow's up 0.28. Nasdaq up 0.25. Gold's up 0.24. ES up 0.20. Crude down 0.32. Dollar is down 0.40. Hence why probably silver and gold are up. 10-year yield down. 30-year bonds being bought. That makes sense. Down 0.86. Okay, the VIX is down to a 14. Down 1.63%. So the volatility should shrink a little bit with a 14 VIX. Okay. Now, what's notable today, what are we going to get? Are we going to get a trend continuation day? We already now at all-time highs. There's no levels above us. There's no resistance. Okay, it's always a little difficult, probably a fool's errand to try to just short the heck out of this. We are in August, so they're defying the odds of August. Now, August is not over, obviously. Can we see a blow off top here? Maybe. Maybe. Okay. One thing today I might share with you guys, I have a couple scripts that I wrote, obviously with the help of AI. And I can show you some RRG charts. We can go over what stocks are moving, what sectors are moving, because let's just see, right? What I'm seeing in some of the breadth, it's like mixed or whatever. So we'll get into that. If you guys are interested in that, I'll pull up an RRG chart, all right? And just shows you the rotations in the markets and shows you the movers of late. So I think it's pretty cool. And I usually find a place in the chart to start at, okay? And then I pick that part, that date, and I want to see what's the hot stock compared to the SPY or the S&P 500. I think it's a cool thing we can look at, okay? And then we'll just look at what's rotating, what's weak, what's strong, pretty cool. All right, now let's go to the Mag 7 Pluses here. AMD, it's like you shoot it, goes down, and then people buy the dip. All right, it's up 2.14%. All right, we got Eli Lilly. Remember, Eli Lilly's been destroyed. Okay, it's at 647. That the stock was in the thousands, I believe, not too long ago. Coinbase up 1.14%. Broadcom up 0.65. Tesla's up 0.43. Okay, the only little laggard, and it's not a laggard, down 0.04 is Nvidia. Top sectors. Let's see here. United Healthcare. It's the second day. It's getting bought up. Second day, it's getting bought up. And what I've read the other day is institutions are buying this stock. It's like the hottest stock they're buying in the quarter. So I don't know. It's been battered. That thing was at 600 and something dollars not too long ago. Okay, they make money. There's a lot of controversy on them. Okay, that's the only bright light there. All right, if we go to a little granular, Baba's up 3.45, SoFi 2.75. Okay, and CoreWeave is getting smoked this morning, down 9.06%. Target down 1.56. ON down 2.24. So that's that. Moving on. We're going to move on here. The sectors. All right. Look what your semis are leading, up 0.39. And everything's up, basically. Not a lot, not tons, but up. No laggards. No laggards to speak of. Okay, let's move on to the economic calendar. Not sure. Chief, you with me? Not sure if she's with me this morning. Not sure if Documents is with me. Not sure who's with me. So feel free to say hi in the chat if you're with me. Might be too early in my stream. Oh, there she is. Now I don't know. She's like I might as well be a podcast here with her. I don't think she really watches. Are you watching today, or are you listening? Good morning. Both. Cool. On a phone or a computer? Oh, welcome, Jorge. Welcome, Jorge. Welcome. All right, so I'm gonna do because why I'm asking that. Documents is probably in his underwear on the couch, probably watching, so he doesn't have access to chat if he is. But just when I show the RRG charts, I just think it's cool to look at. You can see I'm gonna do that. All right. Now the economic calendar I spoke about already a little bit. 30 mortgage. There's really nothing here to talk about. All right. I'm gonna go right into here. Let's see if there's any stock news to just talk about here. And if not, we'll move on. Here we go. All right, Cisco stock rose 0.3 ahead of the tech company's latest quarterly earnings. Alphabet, that's Google, stock rose 0.2 after Perplexity AI put forward a 34.5 billion unsolicited all-cash offer to buy Google's Chrome browser. Kava's getting smoked today. Stock slumped 24% after the Mediterranean food chain reported lower than expected second quarter revenue. CoreWeave stock fell 8.9 after the AI data center operator reported bigger than expected net loss. All right, Circle Internet stock fell 2.2 after stablecoin issuer said it will offer 10 million Class A shares to the public. All right, moving on to more news. Let's see. It says U.S. embeds trackers and AI shipments to catch diversions to China. Wow. All right. Focus to stay on weight loss drugs. U.S. patients cut doses and maybe vacations. Okay. CoinDesk owner bullish prices IPO above range to raise over 1.1 billion. Okay. Let's see if there's anything. Nvidia. Let's see. There's a little. Nvidia. Piper Sandler raises target price to 225 from 180. Okay. Palo Alto. Piper Sandler raises waiting to overweight. Give me one sec here. All right. I think that's that. Now, real quick, the juice. Let's see what the juice got for us. It's always good to look at our friendly juice. Now, the juice schedule. We got Trump. Yeah, we do. 11:15. Trump makes an announcement. Great. I hope I'm out of a trade by then. What else? Yeah, Trump signs. That doesn't matter. At 4 o'clock. Let's see here. What's the risk today? Says rallying global stocks press as on mounting expectation for Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. Yep, that's what I talked about already. All right. Now, real quick, let's look at the Fed Watch tool. You can see here 96.2% now. 96.2%. If we look at the compare, this was a day ago. Current up to 9. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. It's up to 99.91% now. Wow. Alrighty. Alrighty. We could see here back a month ago it was only 57. They're thinking the Fed's going to cut. That's why this market loves these cuts and pushed up, right? Market told us, let's push up. Okay. Now, real quick, let's go over those market internals. And then maybe we'll get into the RRG. Give me a sec here while I get those internals for you. There's our market internals. Remember, this is my bread and butter. This sets up my trades. Okay. So, look at all that green. Okay. And you can see the crazy open. That was like where it was all wacky. And then it just straightened itself out and grew the rest of the session. Everything was green. Hence, no really pullbacks. Okay. Once you lift it off of the previous day's highs, you just kind of melted up. Okay. There's not much to talk about those market internals other than that. Okay, so I think we'll look at dailies. Okay, and then I'll go into the RRG. All right, so let's look at daily charts. There's not much to glean here, so let's just look at it together. Okay. Remember, we got our expected moves. Okay, so I'm going to pay attention to those. So let's go at the daily charts here. Now remember, get my indicator on my Discord. The expected move for this week to the upside is right here. This green bar. Okay, and that is 648.92. We still have $6 more about to go. Okay, so that's what the options market priced in for this week. Right? Now we're at all-time highs, right? Where are we now? 644. We're gapping up. 644, we're up here somewhere, okay? So there's really nothing to analyze, right? Really nothing to analyze. We can look at futures here. Let's look at our futures. You can see now we're in all-time highs in futures as well. There's last month's highs. We broke that. Okay, and we're gapping up. All right, let's look at Qs. So here's our Qs. Big day yesterday, right? Lifted right off of the previous month's highs and last week's highs. We're gapping up as well. We're at 581. All right, let's look at those futures right here. And there's the futures. All right, like I said, the triple-headed monster is not worth analyzing. There's not much to do. The VIX dropped, and the dollar in the bond market's really just not doing much. Okay, it's really not doing much. Let's get into the RRG chart. Now I'm going to go back to the SPX or the SPY. It doesn't really matter which one. And let's just see, right, from this low, what has been the strength. Now, I don't really know yet, okay? Because if you look at the market yesterday, the big boys that moved the markets weren't like skyrocketing, except maybe Microsoft. Okay, so let's see. That date is August 1st. This date. Call that, like when it hit this support. I want to see what's driving the markets. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I got some scripts that I wrote. Okay, let's see here. We're going to go for the overall sectors first. All right, you can see the script here. I'm going to show you guys right here. So I know I want to see August 1st, right? So it says, what do you want? A specific date. Put the specific date in. Okay, and that would be August 1st. Okay. The end date would be today. Boom. Okay. Now, I want to look at the broad sectors, right? So hit 1. Boom, it's going to give me a chart. Okay. Once it pumps out the chart, I'll share it with you guys. There it is. All right, so this RRG chart, okay, let me explain it to you guys. Okay, so anything in this box is lagging, okay, weakening. All right, remember this is from August 1st. Okay, anything that has, like, there's the dots where they're at, right? And you want to see them push up, and that's getting momentum. Okay, now if you look into this upper left here, I don't know if you guys can really see that clear. I have the SPY. I always track the SPY. This is versus the SPY. Okay, so the SPY is up 3.4%. And at the same time, the leader has been semis. So that's been driving the market. Now look how this works. The farthest right you are is the strongest compared to the SPY. So that's your semis. And they have the most momentum. The most momentum is the higher in the chart. The higher you go is the most momentum. So check it out. Is there any of these weak sectors getting love? No. Look at energies pulling back. Utilities, financials got a little lift. Still in this kind of lagging area. And you can see staples just went over to the left. That got a little weaker. XLK, right? So this would tell me semis. Okay, this is not probably a surprise. So we know it's semis. So they could dive down deeper now. Okay, and I can say let's dive into specific holdings, and I want to dive into semis. So semis is the number 4. Boom. Now it's going to show me the semiconductors. Okay, and what's hot? Okay, so let's look at that. Boom. So your leader has been Micron. Micron's been up 21.8%. You can see Micron's all the way over here. Okay. Check this out. Very interesting. All right. So the leaders, Micron 21.8%, Lam Research up 9.2, Broadcom up 8.4, ASML up 7.5, Texas Instruments up 6.7, Nvidia up 5.4, AMAT up 4.7, Taiwan Semis 3.9, Qualcomm 3.7. Look at AMD, only up 1.9 in the last 12 days. It's actually the weakest. Okay. Interesting. Now this one red here, Qualcomm, notice that it came up from a lagging and moved into like a leading. So the momentum lately in Qualcomm is pretty good. Okay, pretty good. Micron's just a beast. I didn't even realize that. Okay, I didn't even realize that. Right now, one thing you can do, I didn't go back to it, is you can always see what is lagging, and that might become a leader eventually. Notice those are all mostly defensive areas. Okay. Now, the only thing I would say is I go one step deeper into subsectors, and we can do that real quick. So we're going to go into the subsectors because every sector has subsectors, like sub industries. Okay, so to do the same thing, specific date, we know it's August 1st. Okay, today I want to look at the broad look at the sub industry sectors. So now it's going to give me the subsectors. What's been driving the markets in the subsectors? Okay, let me resize this. Okay, notice there's a lot of them here. Okay, now from August 1st, the leader is metals and mining. Did you know that? That's up 11.9%. The SPY is up 3.4% from August 1st. So metals and mining are getting a lot of love. What else is getting love? Jets. Jets is an ETF for airlines. Okay? So for swing plays, I look at these and go, oh wow. Did you know Jets is leading? Did you know PBW is clean energy? Followed by retail. So look at that. Did you guys know that? Right? Did you know that? And the only thing that's been a little negative is XOP is oil and gas, I believe. But nothing negative. Pretty interesting, right? But metals and mining, airlines, clean energy, retail, ITB is home builders, 6.4%. IBLC is pretty much a crypto. Pretty interesting, right? Now, let's take it one step further. And let's see XME, what stock is hot in that area. Let's go to specific holdings. I'm going to go to the clean energy, and it's going to pull me up what stocks is hot in XME. Okay. So here we go. Hottest stock is ticker AA. Ticker AA, it's up 10.5%. Ticker CMC up at 10.2. NEM up 10.1. FCX up 5.3. So those are your leaders there. So I think it's pretty cool to look at this because you want to see what's really driving markets, right? We went into the main sectors, but then we saw that metals and mining and jets are like moving more than semis, right? So hopefully that was pretty cool for you guys. All right. Remember, I can go at any point in time and do that. So with the script. So hopefully you're enjoying that little sidebar. All right. That's your RRG charts. Okay. I don't know if you guys want me to do that periodically just to see. All right. I don't know. I mean, we could have looked at jets too. I should have probably went to jets as well, but we did all the airlines, right? Just to see who is the strongest airline. But whatever. You get the point. Okay. Now, right away, I'm going to skip hourly charts. There's not much to glean there. We're going to go right into the market profile, volume profile. Just give me a second here while I pull up the workspace. Okay. All right, this is your market profile, volume profile analysis here. Okay. Do I have still some people with me? I hope I do. Hope you guys enjoyed that RRG. And hopefully it made sense. I'm not sure if Jorge is still there or Rosita, the busy woman, is still even watching or listening. Documents. Might have had a late night out at the bar. Not sure. Let's see and look at our market profile, volume profile here. Okay. We're at all-time highs. We don't have any levels above us. Okay. We're gapping up. We're gapping up. So let me get the marker out. Hello, marker. Where are you? Oh, this thing's not doesn't want to cooperate this morning, huh? I have to restart it. Let's restart you. There we go. There you are. All right, let's look at profile. Remember yesterday I said kind of balanced, but a little bit to the upside. Well, we got the upside, right? So here's value area, and now we're pushing up, right? Job of the market now is that lift that most traded price from 64.14 somewhere up here. Maybe the possibility is the 64.68s, right? Now, whenever you're gapping up, there's always the rules, the gap rules. All right, gap rules are as follows. Okay, gap rules are as follows. Number one, most bullish case, you got a gap and a go. Number two, you got to pull back, you don't fill the gap, and you go. Number three, you fill the gap, that's 64.70s, and you go. And then this is gauging strength from the gap, right? If you start to pull back into range, that's where you get a little bit of, oh, maybe we're not as strong. That's how you feel out the gap. Okay? That's gap rules. Now, what do we have here? Okay? What do we have? So we're gapping up, right? We know this. So right away, 64.70 is your gap fill. 64.70 encompasses, we're going to make this little range here. Okay. Most traded prices yesterday, that's your 64.68s. I'm sorry. Yes. And the overnight. So the overnight and the most traded prices yesterday are the same. That's why you got the high volume node here. Okay. Now, this is a session that's got double distribution. Distribution here, distribution here. So you want to mark off with this. I'm going to mark off this the midpoint, the 50% retracement of the 64.74. So that's right there. And you got a demand there. Okay. So very clearly, all right, and let's also mark off yesterday's 50% retracement. That's around 64.39. That's the 50% retracement of yesterday. Okay. Now above ultimate balance, remember. Now I didn't have a setup here. You know your boy talked about ultimate balance. Look where the market pulled back to yesterday. There's the open, pulled right back at the ultimate balance, and that was all she wrote. There wasn't really a setup there for me. It was too wild. Okay, even though I called it, which what is at the end of the day my level worked, but it's not like I made money off it. And then during the day when I was live, I was explaining to documents and Rosita here that we should break overnight highs here, 64.42s. Once we did that, I said this is probably going to trend. I said this all on my Discord. You can check it if you join. Okay, and then then we hit all-time highs. Okay, so that's what's going on in the markets. All right, so pretty simple here. Okay, pretty simple of what we're going to look at. Okay, so let's get into scenarios here. It's pretty basic here. All right. We're going to start off with the bull side. Very hard to short all-time highs. You have no levels above us. The momentum's with the bulls. Okay. So, what would I like to see? Well, I don't want to see a gap and go because I'm probably not going to participate in that. So what I want to see, maybe some type of push up. Then market starts to pull back. You do have a little high volume node here. If you take that out, you should test the 50% retracement of the overnight, and maybe you fill that gap, 64.70. This would be picture perfect, even if you tap 64.68 and you just do one of these. Boop. And then we're going to probably melt up, depending how strong internals are. Okay, let's open up this price action here. Okay, depending on how internals are. Okay, now that's the picture perfect scenario. Now, a little bear trap could look something like this. You get a real violent push down, you break the overnight lows. Okay, then you recover and reclaim this level, 64.68. That could also be the move. Now, anywhere below here, with the market weakening, I'm going to be very cautious of any longs. Okay? Very cautious. Now, this isn't. Now, yesterday we had a bunch of distribution, so it wasn't just a rocket up. You don't have really poor structure there. You don't have poor structure. So, we'll have to see how the market handles that. Okay? That's all I'm interested in for longs, to be honest with you. Okay? Now, another plan might come up, but. Whoop. So, now, shorts. Really going to be careful with my shorts here. Really going to be careful. Okay? So, what I would need to see, okay, if I'm going to, now conservative short here would be, okay, let me see if this market can break overnight lows. I probably like to see internals get weak. Tech maybe not lead, maybe be the laggard, okay, and see kind of a push down, and to see if we can find acceptance below the overnight lows, okay. If we come back and retest even back into here, but the market's not strong, it's really getting weak, that could be your short. Okay, you'd want to take off some maybe of the 50% of yesterday, and then see if we could return back to ultimate balance, 64.10. Okay, I think anything above in this area short, don't get me wrong, you're a scalper, you can ignore me. Anything above here, I really need to see, like let's say we come up, and let's say internals are really not that strong. I would probably need to see a couple, at least 15-minute closes of lower highs here to even try to sink my teeth in something. Okay? But I'm not really coming into the morning interested in shorts. Your level, okay, to pay attention to for shorts would be your 64.61s. Okay, this level, overnight lows. Okay, I want to find acceptance under that, under all this overnight activity. And it would be underneath all of the highest volume from yesterday, which was 64.68. Okay, that's very bullish too when you have the most volume transacted at the highs. It's a very bullish sign. That's why I'm saying I'm more in the favor of a long. But internals will guide me. Okay, now moving on to NASDAQ. Let's see the structure in your NASDAQ here. Let's bring this down. Our all-time highs. Now, yesterday I said it had a bullish imbalance to the profile. It looked like it wanted to go higher. Well, it did, right? Did I know how it was going to play out? Hell no. I never know. I never know, right? So, we're gapping up as well, right? All right. Double distribution in the profile. Great. Same setup. Very similar. Very similar. We already talked about gap rules. Okay, we already talked about gap rules. Now, let's talk about the volume profile rule. Okay. Now, we made a move. Here's your value. Okay, and here's your most traded price of the week, 237s. Okay. The job of the market now is to move the most traded price of the week up somewhere here. That would more or less confirm the bulls are in control. Okay? Now notice the volume. It's tapering. Okay? If it continues to taper and get thinner and thinner, that's less and less participants. Okay? The farther away you get from value, right, and you don't establish the most traded price of the week up here, you return back to value. If price can't pull value up with it, price returns back to value. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it works. Okay? That's your profile rules. Now, let's mark off some levels. Our midpoint yesterday, 50% retracement yesterday is your 23786. That's your Fibonacci, your 50% Fibonacci. So we're going to put that there. We have the overnight halfback, which is the midpoint, 23973. So that lines up with this demand. And I'm just going to put a big box here. Let's encompass the most traded price of yesterday, the overnight VPOC, and we have a nice demand zone in here. Close, got a lot of levels here. Now look, NASDAQ also has the most traded price up in the session. That's very bullish. It's very bullish. Okay. So, and we have our, most traded price of the week, the 237s down here with this demand. I'm probably not going to have to talk about that much, but let's see. Okay. One thing to note, I didn't mention any other one. Our inventory, all right, our open is right here, and you only have this much short activity to this much long, and we're at the top of the session. So you're about 90% net long in the overnights. Okay? It's a little feather in the cap for bear. Okay? So, let's get into scenarios because it's going to be pretty easy. Let's break this out. Hold on. Double distribution here. Okay? Let's talk about some scenarios in the NASDAQ here. And I'll get everybody out of here. All right. We'll start with the bull case. Of course, like I said, gap rules, right? So, what I would like to see, push up, break it, come through here. There's a little high volume note here. Come through that. Test this demand zone, which happens to have the gap fill right there, 23949, 23949. You can get a beautiful trade right there, and then you melt up into more all-time highs. Okay? That would be picture perfect. Right? Also, pull back. Got the overnight VPOC here. You got yesterday's most traded price. There's your last line right there, 23909. That's your POC from yesterday and your most traded price volume-wise. Right? That's your last defense. We could even do a little wiggle, whoop, hold, and start to melt up. Again, based on internals, that's what I want to see. Gap and go, I just watch it go. I probably don't even do anything. The only thing I would do possibly if it was really, really, really strong is just wait for a pullback to go long. But I don't know where that would be, right? So I'm not going to put that on here. Remember, anything below 23909s puts the bulls on notice. So this is holding those levels, okay? Holding those levels. Anything above this area really is still bullish. Okay, really is still bullish. Now, bear side. Again, I want to see some exhaustion if we come up here. Thin out, lower highs, and I'll gauge if internals are strong or not. Okay, really, I'm not a fan of a short up here at all-time highs. But it could move down. And again, the same thing. You're going to have problems in this demand zone. I'm going to see a battle. You probably pop up. But if you make yourself down to the 23921s, that's the overnight lows. A lot of support there. That's the close. And you got yesterday's most traded price right here at 23909s. That's the gauge. If you cut under that, find acceptance, and like, ooh, we're finding acceptance. And let's see the internals are starting to weaken and you retest this level, that could be the key to drop down to about the 238s, 23786s, 50% retracement. Right? If you get that, my guess would be the market would be weak. And you could return back your 237s. Okay, like I said, conservatively would be just to wait to see if this gets taken up for a retest to short. All right, that's the scenarios, folks, for today. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that. Please smash that like button if you did enjoy the analysis. I know I threw something at you new today, the RRG charts. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Okay, now we have our plans, folks. We have our plans. They're pretty simple. Are really biased long, right? Unless yesterday's most traded price in the ES and the Nasdaq, yesterday's most traded price gets taken out, I'm a bull. That's as simple as it gets. Okay. Now, please join me every day. Subscribe. Set alerts. Right? Let me be your morning coffee, your morning tea, water, whatever. Your beverage choice. Okay, I'll give you the market story. The news, why stocks are moving and why they're not. Look at it. MEMD is at the 180. Jesus. I'm loving it. It's one of my larger holdings. So, anyway. So, let me be your info. All right? I just gave you a bunch of technical analysis, golden nuggets, and long short trade scenarios. Okay? Got our plans. So, sign up. All right? Now, if you want more in depth of my commentary when the market opens, right? Let me be your indicator. Okay? Join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Okay? Sign up. Go to my YouTube homepage. Click on the link. Join the community. Get my free expected move indicator for Thinkorswim. Throw it on your charts. Tell me what you think. Okay? It's pretty awesome. I think it's my 4th week or 5th week of doing it, and every week it amazes me when those levels get hit. Okay? Remember, it's based on the script I run is based on the options market pricing. The options market is awesome. Okay? If you ever heard of the formulas, Black-Scholes, they won a Nobel Prize. Okay? The math that's done for options market. And the beauty about the options market, it gives you the odds right there. Every price's delta is in odds. Okay? It's in odds. I'm not sure if everybody knows that. With delta and all that, it gives you the odds. Pretty cool, right? So, like I said, come see me in my Discord today. You want me to go live? You want me to go live? I probably will. Okay? Just come in there and say, hey, I'd like you to go live. I want to see what you're saying in the morning. I will gladly do it. Of course, if Ghost Town in there, I'm not going to talk to myself. But come join. Okay? Come join me live. All right, everybody. Have a great day. And again, if I don't see you in my Discord, okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right? Everybody have a great